afternoon all. We'll wait for some people to arrive and then I will give out my informative message against, not exactly against, more informative mission as a public service announcement, shall we say. Giving some home truths or advice to people that apparently need advice. So we are taking a walk. Hi to everyone watching. I don't know if you want to see my face or walking, because where I'm going to be walking is kind of beautiful. As you can see, Swaffham isn't always quiet, unlike some of the videos I show with the nice birds. Some have some really cool boy races, apparently. But we will see if anyone turns up. We will walk and talk, if not. And I will share my opinions on some situations that have arose in the last 24 hours. Because I don't know about you, but I've been fairly quiet. I did a live stream yesterday for a couple of hours. Got some opinions out there. Thanks to all that watched. And then we went to Anna Bears to play some really cool games. Hey Riley! And then I watched a video clip today from Coach J-Rom about the exceptionally bad advice that someone on Eli's stream was given, and felt the need to do a informative video, should we put it, on the fact that some people either shouldn't be giving advice or the advice they're giving is terrible. Could be 50-50 on that one, but I mean, if you haven't seen Coach J-Rom's video on it, you should definitely go watch it. And he was also trying to give advice to somebody within our group called Poon Handler, who is going for a rough time, and Coach Eli apparently feels the need to offer advice to someone who's having trouble. Now, this advice was horrendous. He basically said that Poon Handler had been on YouTube all weekend, basically whining on screen about his issue instead of going out and doing something. So this poor guy, hey Gordo, that's having issues, came onto YouTube to pour his heart out to people to get some advice from his friends, and Eli sees that as a negative. What Poon Handler should have done, and get this, was approach Coach Eli to get some much needed advice. And Eli's advice would be horrendous, let's be honest. The advice he give wouldn't do Poon Handler, wouldn't help him at all. He would probably say, look mate, you've got to be like an alpha male, you've got to pull your socks up and get on with whatever it is. If it's about a woman, kick it to the curb and move on. If it's about menial things, just suck it up. I mean, this is the advice that he's giving people. And then to top it off, if the Poon Handler advice wasn't terrible enough, he then talked about a poor girl who apparently was having suicidal thoughts. She'd messaged her ex and said about this, and Eli's great advice to this guy was that this girl was attention seeking and that he should ignore her, instead of giving the actual advice of that she needs help, that she maybe needs a friend, a therapist, the authorities. He decided to say that this girl was attention seeking, he'd be better off to ignore her. Can you believe the advice from this guy? This poor woman was having, like Poon Handler, was reaching out to people for advice and for help, and someone to talk to, And Eli's advice was to, as he told this guy, shoot the girl down, ignore her, basically move on and pretend she doesn't exist, and not to help her in any way by calling the authorities, by talking to her parents, maybe a friend. And this is the advice this guy's giving people. His advice to a situation that is possibly important to these other people is very trivial to Eli. Very trivial. It's like, oh, so you're having problems, my friend, suck it up and move on. That's not as easy as it sounds. And for you to be a coach with these kind of coaching techniques of suck it up and, oh, he infuriates the arse off me. He really does. I mean, I hate to talk. Eli's been whining for the last 3 years. He's hardly in a petition to critique. Exactly. I mean, if someone comes to you, right, in confidence, maybe they have an issue on live stream they want to talk about, whether they have an issue in their private life and they message you, you help a person, whether it's giving them a contact number to have somebody help them, whether you know their parents, you know a friend, you know a work colleague, you try and give them advice. This advice was suck it up and move on, basically. Like, pull your socks together, Poon Handler. And this other girl just needs to get a grip, apparently. Like, the advice is just atrocious. I mean, I cannot believe that someone like this is allowed to give advice. It's horrendous advice on a situation, in my eyes, for the girl, could be serious. And Poon Handler is just pouring his heart out on a live stream, talking to his friends, and apparently it's whining and complaining, and he basically needs to get a grip, because all men are meant to act masculine, and him apparently talking about his feelings and emotions is too feminine. You wouldn't believe it, would you? Good morning from Michigan. I couldn't read your name. Hang on, let me see. Ooh. Oh, fair enough. Michigan. Hang on. 1 minute. Hello. Oh, damn it. Michigan. Okay, so say Drift. Never seen you before, but good morning. It's actually the middle of the afternoon here in the UK. But look how beautiful this is. If you saw this last week or the week before, this was covered in snow in my live stream. Completely snow drifted. I'm walking this because it's quiet. I was going to film this at home, but this is like a serious situation that's going on YouTube, and I think people need to be aware of the advice that's being given to people. And this whole I'm trying to help bullshit just isn't working in any shape or form. And really, this guy needs a telling off. Needs to be given some of his own advice. I'm not sure how I came across your channel. You just randomly came up on my feed. Well, sometimes that is the best way to attract people, randomly. You can subscribe to my channel if you like. That would help me. There's a life coach on YouTube attacking people. Hello. Oh, you're so cute. God, I wish I had the energy like that. Oh, look at that little dog. I don't know if you saw that little dog, but God, he was so cute. He's got so much energy. I wish I had energy like that. I'm literally walking and I'm slightly out of breath. It's been a while since I've been for a walk. Again, like I said, the snow. I've been in maybe for a week. I have been to the churchyard for like half an hour to try and walk about slightly. But look how beautiful that is. This is a disused railway track, if you're wondering, which is pretty cool. That you can... I'm not unfit. I actually have a back disorder, Gordo. You know that, which means I can't walk for too long. For too long. You know that, Gordo. So let's keep going. But like I said, it's a disused railway line. And let's just keep walking. There we go. And there is the train bridge, which I showed you last time, that was covered in snow. How beautiful does that look in the actual sunlight? How beautiful is that? So this is the train line that used to connect London to Kings Lynn and then right the way through to Norwich. And as you can see, it's not the best area in the world. Obviously there used to be, as you can see, people also use it as a dumping ground, mostly the young, in all honesty. But we're going to keep walking because this area normally is quite beautiful. It is kind of sticky at the minute. Have any of the disused railway tracks turned into cycle path where you are? Well, this is technically a cycle path. You can have horses on here, you can walk. So technically this is a walkthrough. It basically goes from one side of the town to the other. But this is technically, I suppose it's the only footpath that's a disused railway track in my area, but there are other ones that are disused that have also been turned into footpaths, i.e. Whitwell is a disused station as such, and they have a track that goes behind them, and that goes from Whitwell to Reetham, and that's quite nearby to me, and that's a disused railway line. It's technically a preserved railway line now, which has trains that run on a weekend, and then they have a footpath where the original train used to go to Reetham that was taken out. Where I live, they have tarmac loads of disused railway. Yeah, this one has been left as a natural footpath. It's basically what they call a thorough through. It takes you from one part of the town on one side, which is where I live, to the other side of the town, where the railway line would have gone under another bridge, which I will show you, that then takes you to Kings Lynn, and then you would go from Kings Lynn off to London. But as I was saying, back to the topic at hand, Coach Eli is trying to give bad advice to people, and this has to be put a stop to. The advice to Poon Handler and this poor girl who had reached out to her ex for advice and help, and he's just berating people for reaching out and wanting help, and his job supposedly is a life coach. Hang on. Hey from Kentucky, I found you through Kate Shara and Mrs. Rum while watching Poon. Well, welcome to my channel. I was just talking about poor Poon. Some douchebag called Coach Eli believes that Poon should pull his socks up and act more like a man instead of pouring his heart out on YouTube, and that he should basically get a grip. And this is the advice that Coach Eli is giving to Poon. Whether Poon has seen his advice, I would hate to think, because the advice he's giving him of just sucking it up and moving on, and that he shouldn't be pouring his heart out because it makes him more feminine and he should man up, is just so disrespectful to people, the coaching world, and just people in general. It's just wrong on so many levels. If you have an issue a problem, please reach out to somebody. Reach out to a loved one. Reach out to your mother, a friend, a doctor, a work colleague. Reach out to somebody. Please do not go to Coach Eli's channel and expect to get advice, because you just won't get it. I'll have to film the train tracks. Yeah, I'd love to see that. Yeah, you should definitely film them, Gordo. I love disused railway lines because they are so beautiful. Good afternoon, Gemma. We are talking about the fact that Eli has given some bad advice to some people today. One of them was suicidal, and he basically said she was attention seeking. And then you have Poon Handler, who you may or may not know, Gemma, is having a bit of a rough time. And Eli thinks he should stop pouring his heart out online, and that he should man up and be more like an alpha male instead of being feminine and crying. Yeah. Good afternoon, sharpshooter. Welcome to the disused railway track in Swaffham. If you didn't know, I live in Swaffham, and this is a disused railway track, which I filmed in the snow. Yeah, he did. If you, obviously, if you don't want to rot your brain, don't watch Coach Eli's stream for 3 hours, because I have to endure this stuff so I can alert you to what a complete douche he is. So I do my best to watch this stuff. If you want to see a slightly more in-depth look at what Eli said, you can check out Coach J. Rom's channel, where he did a little excerpt of Eli talking this crap about this woman that was attention seeking, apparently, and hear Coach J. Rom's opinion, which is basically the same as my opinion, that the advice that's been given to these people is demeaning, and it's just wrong. He's literally giving advice to people that are crying out for help, and this advice is basically telling these people to pull their socks up and basically get on with it. If that's coaching technique that I've heard of, it's a terrible one. When people come online and they pour their hearts out, they're doing it because they're asking for help. They want advice. They're looking for an outlet for their emotions, their concerns. And what they want to hear is reassurance that everything will be fine. They're looking for advice on how maybe to deal with the situation. Maybe not necessarily how to fix the situation, but they're open to opinions on how the situation can be looked at. Maybe from a different perspective, from a different perception that other people are seeing it as. So you're basically looking for advice, and the advice that's now being given by Coach Eli is that we shouldn't be online crying our heart out, reaching out for advice. We should be pulling our socks up, and we should be giving tough love to these people, saying, look, you can't be on YouTube whining all day. You should be out there doing something and basically pretending this situation that's happening to you is nothing important, that you shouldn't be addressing it, and that we should just be getting on. Now, that's easy and well to say if you're a person on the outside looking in, saying, well, your life doesn't look so bad. I posted a link to the Discord for you. Who's Discord? Have you got your own Discord, Gordo? I'm actually in quite a few Discords, but I will join your Discord as well, Gordo. At this rate, my phone will be tinging every hour of every day. I'm already in like 4 Discords, and my phone is non-stop. It's because I'm so likable, Eli. Is that why you're not in anyone's Discord? Unless you're fake and you're under someone else's name, because no one would actually want you in there. Or you try and come to our members only. In Riley's Discord. Okay. Fair enough. I will take a look at that. I'm in quite a few people's Discords, amazingly. And you know why that is, Eli? Because I'm liked. I don't troll people, and people actually want to listen to my advice, unlike yours. But this is a beautiful place. It's really quiet. It's offset. There are little estates as you go through that people can use. If you lived here, you might walk to Tesco's or Waitrose. And if you live down this end of the village, you might also walk to Asda using this. I could use this to walk to and from Asda if I wanted to. It's a little offshoot route to Asda, or to the other end of the village if you just wanted to circle the village as a walk. Quite a lot of people use this to walk their dogs. How are you from Raven? How far are you from Raven, Gemma? I don't know where Gemma lives. I'm not sure. I've never really pried into people's like private life as such. I know you live, is it in Bristol? Do you live in Bristol, Gordo? I think it was Bristol you said, because we went to Birmingham and I think it was Bristol you said you live. I honestly can't remember. It's been like, what, 2 years since we met up? I honestly cannot remember. As I've said before, I have a lot of things to remember. I am a busy girl, a busy life. And the amount of shit that Eli does, sometimes it pushes stuff out of the brain and corrupts some of it. Yeah, you're on the outskirts of Bristol. See? Got a good memory, my friend. Good memory. Yeah, I don't know where Gemma lives. But as I've said before, I try not to pry into people's private lives too much. Like I said, I try and keep my own kind of distant, because then you get people like Eli that would like to know everything about you and, you know, would like to corrupt my being, kind of thing. So you can stream on Discord the same time you're streaming on YouTube. No, I'm not streaming on Discord. Gordo sent me a message to Discord. You can promote your live stream in Discord. You can send a link to Discord and promote your stream. You can promote your stream virtually anywhere nowadays, anywhere with a link. But yeah, I implore you to, you're not far from the airport at Bristol. Oh, fair enough. Like I said, I live in a tiny little offset village, if you want to call it a village. Very small, very quaint, mostly full of charity shops and care homes, mind you. It is kind of a, I suppose you could call it like a granny town as such. It's more like a dated town than places like, say, bigger places like Dereham or Norwich or something like that. Okay, you've just never what? You never used Discord? Oh, I'm currently in about 4 Discord chats. All of my friends. It's a way of talking and communicating to people. Really, I should make my own Discord at some point. I had thought about making my own Discord. The problem is you get people like Eli try to infiltrate it because he's so butthurt about everything you say about him. Like trying to get into Riley's members only stuff, because he so needs to know what people are talking about, and he's so invested all of his time into trying to be something he's not, that he feels the need to try and infiltrate everything, you know. Granny town, that sounds charming. I mean, the town is kind of full of charity shops. There's like 7 or 8. And the actual town itself does have a lot of care homes. I've worked in them as well. And look, so this is currently how the train line is being held up. When I last came here, it was held by scaffolding, and now, as a deterrent to people walking off into the fields and under the train line, they've put these bars in now, which, I mean, it's not picturesque at all, but it is to stop people messing around on the bridge. and gaining access to under the bridge and the surrounding area underneath. A lot of kids will play down there. A lot of travellers dump stuff down there. So they're trying to keep it safe. And then we can keep this little bit open. There is little offshoot bits that follow all the way down, and obviously that goes right under the railway line, and they're trying to deter people from going under there. Obviously one would be health and safety would be a main concern, but kids will be kids. That's what kids do nowadays. They explore, and this whole exploring abandoned places and abandoned things is pretty cool. And don't get me wrong, it is pretty cool under that bridge. Not that I've been there before, you will understand. Because obviously these fields around the side are obviously owned by people. But kids being kids are inquisitive, they're interested, and they will go under there, whether you put a barrier or there or not. If a kid is determined to go somewhere, they will go. And then on this side, you have the caravan park, which is an adults only. We did discuss this in another vlog. It's an adults only one because the people there basically don't want kids around, and I can't blame them, because even I've considered going to an adults only caravan park, because sometimes you just need a little bit of peace and quiet from the kids. And to say that is fine, because technically my kids are, 2 of them are adults, so I only technically have 1 child left who is of kid age, and the other 2 are adults now, so I can say that. But yeah, the advice, like I said, that was thrown out today is questionable. It's questionable, and I wanted to highlight this to anyone who's watching this, that advice given online, you can look at it and take something from it, but I implore you, when it comes to some advice, you really need to listen to it repeatedly and realize that whatever the person's telling you is just not right. And I feel so strong about the fact that the advice that's given is wrong. And I employ people to disregard the advice given. And Poon Handler, if he's having a bad time, if he's having issues, and the guy wants to come online and talk and share his opinions, at no point did he ask for Coach Eli's advice. No point did he come out here saying that he wanted to be fixed, as Eli would suggest that people that come online and pour their emotions out need fixing, because apparently we are lower people who basically prey on the attention of others. We have to have some drama going on to make content on our channel, and this isn't content, this is a public announcement to the fact that the advice given today by a supposed coach should be taken with a pinch of salt, and in all cases ignored. How much raw land does the UK have? I've always thought of it being a tiny country packed with people. I mean, in fairness, the UK has quite a lot of rural land. If you look at places like Yorkshire, they're really open. They're not all crammed into a tiny little space. This is nothing like Japan or China, where we're living on each other's doorsteps. There is quite a lot of rural land. There's quite a lot of mountainous land if you go up to Yorkshire and the Peak District. And look, I have fields upon fields surrounding where I live. Yes, there is a main road just down from it. I would never take advice from Coach. They are unmoderated, and most of them chat bollocks. We did this walk yesterday. Well, Thank you, Katie. I thought I would do it just to get outside for a bit, because we are still in lockdown now until possibly June. Can you believe it? Yeah, it's beautiful. So over this side you have all the fields, and then in the background, whether you can see it or not, is the main road. You have quite condensed cities. You do have quite condensed cities. If you take things like Manchester, Birmingham, Liverpool, Bristol, London especially, and then you get slightly denser cities like Norwich, Ipswich, but the coastal towns are quite nice. Places like Yarmouth, Brighton, Lowestoft, Skegness and all that. But around here it's not too bad, mind you. Where I live is semi-rural. Yeah, I mean, I'm not totally in the wilderness living in Swaffham, and I'm not in the middle of a city. This is technically a small village that does have a main road passing through it that connects from Peterborough through to Kings Lynn, then to Swaffham, and then it goes through Dereham and heads towards Norwich. And there is the bypass once you get to Norwich, which is the bypass that leads basically straight the way through from Thetford, Wymondham, right up to Norwich. But if you can take away the fact that the sun is doing me no favours, you can see bridges around here and masses of green space that go right the way around. I will try and shield you from the sun. That goes right the way around. And when I filmed this last week, it was totally covered in snow. I filmed it maybe a week or two ago, and this was totally blanketed with snow. Whether that live stream is on my chat, on my YouTube still, I have no idea. I honestly cannot remember whether it's still on there. But it is a beautiful town. It's not cramped. It can get busy at times. Market day on a Saturday is heathing, but it's so beautiful. And I'm going to show you the other train bridge, the second one to Earliers. But yeah, pretty open. Pretty open. And this is the second train bridge that I want to show you. Look, don't know if you can see it very well, but here is the second train bridge. Again, this line follows on from the last one, and then it would have come straight the way through here, and we're gone straight the way through up there, and then it would have ended up in Kings Lynn. Pretty cool, huh? It's nice to see historical things like this. Thank you. Thank you to, I'll call you Drift for short. You're welcome. Thank you to Drift for coming to my channel. Thank you for coming over here. You can share this out with your friends. I like walking. But this is the other train bridge. As you can see, it would have followed on to Kings Lynn. The train line, I believe, was taken down in 1960, but as you can see, it's very unloved. Look at this. This is historic in our history. And unfortunately, this is what you contend with. Shopping cart, typical shopping cart from, probably looking at it, it's probably Tesco's, as that's down the road. Alcohol bottles. Unfortunately, it's a beautiful little area that unfortunately is used, as what I can see, as a rubbish tip. And the thing is, it spoils such a historic thing. It's terrible to see something like this in such a manner. I mean, look at it. Look how beautiful it is. You have the train line that would have gone over, and as the train came through, it would have carried on. The train would have carried on more straight and gone through that way compared to where this path goes. This is basically the walkway, and you end up at this. I will try and keep the sun off the screen. It's hard to see. You keep this open field, which I don't know if many people come to the open field as such, but in all its majesticness, look at it. And if you listen closely, when the cars have faded and it isn't noisy, you can hear the birds that live within the tunnel, and it's really peaceful. You can literally hear a pin drop here. It's so serene and quiet. And now there are obviously houses being built there now, so this part obviously won't be as used. And I don't know if it does get used. I don't really know. Where my mum lives, they have 3 stations closed. Yeah, this one closed here. There are quite a few stations and train lines dotted around that are no longer used. You have the one in Wymondham where I used to live many years ago. That train line used to cut through from Dereham to Norwich, and it's now a preserved railway and only runs from Dereham to Wymondham and doesn't continue on to Norwich. The track is still there, but it's unused. The track, I believe, is still laid, but it only goes as far as Wymondham, and on occasion they might run it to Norwich if they have like a special, but it's very rare that it's run all the way to Norwich. They took that line out. They do have a train line in Wymondham that isn't a preserved one. It is a main line. Good boy. That's right. He's very excitable. So yeah, like I was saying, the train line here became disused in the 1960s, and then the train line in Wymondham, I believe, was disused around about the same time. But like I said, the track does run to Norwich on occasion if they have a special come through, but it's generally just a preserved line now that runs from Dereham and does like steam Sundays and stuff like that, or runs a diesel. But yeah, it is a beautiful area where I live as such. For walks, it's beautiful. As you see, you've got these massive open fields at the minute. I don't know if you're allowed to use them. Hang on. They shut Staple Hill Fish Ponds, Munger Station and Waverley. Yeah, they've shut quite a few here. They shut, like I said, the Wymondham train line. They also cut out the Lingwood train line. There was a Lingwood train line as well that used to have a train line that used to go through quite a lot of villages, and unfortunately Mr. Beecham, in his infinite wisdom, decided that he wanted people to run on the roads more, and decided that steam trains were a bygone thing, and Mr. Beecham started closing lines left, right and centre. He started having the trains decommissioned and taken apart and sold for scrap and melted down, and it's quite a horrible thing. If you go, we have a Britain Preserve line where you have steam and diesels. Yeah, basically throughout the years there become these if you take this field, mass graveyards full of trains that were disused, decommissioned, and I was part of the railway preservation at Whitwell and Reetham to try and get train lines reinstalled. They refurbish trains, they get them back up and running, and they petition to get lines open that have been dormant for years and get things like this relayed with the train track. Mr. Beecham basically wiped out all the trains to get people to be encouraged to use the roads. He did encourage people to use the roads, but at the expense of all the beautiful train lines. But yeah, if you've enjoyed my little rant today, as well as my walking, do give it a big thumbs up. I have 5 thumbs up, which is brilliant. But yeah, if anyone knows Poon Handler, or anyone knows the girl that Eli gave advice to, give them a helping hand. Give them some words of encouragement. Give them a pat on the back for helping and wanting to put their opinions and issues and basically their heart on their sleeve, asking for help. And they shouldn't feel like they can't ask for help or question issues they have to their friends online. They should be perfectly in their right to reach out to people. It's a really bad thing when it's being suggested that if you're having issues, not to talk to people because it makes you less of a man. Or if you're a woman and you have an issue and you're crying out for help, that it's an attention-seeking tactic. Neither of these are true. Neither of these. If someone has an issue and they want to chat, then listen to them. Yes, give them some words of encouragement and advice, but don't demean them, talk down to them, or basically tell them to suck it up. Stuff like that, it is negative. It doesn't help anybody. And as I've said before, and I will reiterate this, some people on YouTube should not be giving advice to people. One of them, if you're watching this channel, and I'm sure he is watching, is Coach Eli. He shouldn't be giving advice to people because his demeanour comes off as harsh. And yes, he calls it tough love. But have you ever considered that the people that take your advice as you're giving it may or may not hurt themselves one day, may or may not take your advice and feel they have no one to talk to and nowhere to turn to, and they may or may not do something stupid based on your advice. You have to be cautious when you give people advice that it may not be taken the way you're projecting it or the way you're giving it, and then it may be twisted or they may see it differently. You have to be careful on YouTube projecting stuff like that to people who may need help but not necessarily wanting the advice that you're giving. It's a harsh world we live in where you have to be careful on everything you say, but sometimes even if you believe what they're having a cry about is insignificant to you, it is significant to them. And the issues that these people are having are real to them. It may seem trivial to you, but in their lives, the issues they're having is real. And these are really bad times that we're living in at the moment. If it isn't the pandemic, there are other issues going on in the world. Black Lives Matter. The women's movement for the Epstein thing. The world is changing. And you have to be careful of the advice you give to people. Sometimes advice you can give to people is like a ticking time bomb. You have to be careful and you have to word it right. And you have to judge the situation. What happens if the person follows the advice and someone dies? Yeah. You have to listen to the advice you're giving and think about it before you give it to somebody. it's a hard thing to say to somebody that you understand what they're going through when you don't. And everyone feels the need that when someone's having an issue to chip in and give advice and believe that all they need is a pick-me-up and they'll just put a smile back on their face. Now, this doesn't always happen. Some people do need to see a therapist, they need to talk more, they need to get their emotions out, and that doesn't make you weak or feeble or any less of a man to want to talk to somebody and ask for help. So if you're listening to this, Coach Eli, your advice one day may hurt somebody, may be taken the wrong way, and may be detrimental to somebody. You really need to take a look at who you're talking to and actually look at the situation they're going through before you start judging. You know, when someone threatens suicide, always take it seriously. Yeah, something like that is not a subject to be thrown around lightly. And Poon Handler, who's having issues and just wanted an outlet and to talk to people, is being ridiculed by Coach Eli for basically talking to people about his feelings, about his issues, and generally asking for advice. Apparently that makes him less of a man, and that he should basically pull his socks up. Always better to be safe than sorry. Yeah, if you're not sure about the entire situation, keep your mouth shut. Keep your mouth shut. Don't have an opinion. Don't put yourself in the situation that you're not involved in. If you're unsure of what's happening, because advice you give cannot possibly be tailored to what's going on if you've only tuned in to a snippet of a live stream. You do not know the contents, you don't know the people, you don't know the situation, and you just infiltrate yourself in somebody else's business, Eli. And it's about time that you took a step back and just left people alone. Just leave us alone. Stop following our communities. Stop following us around. And stop feeling that you need a place to belong, because it definitely isn't with us. That much is true. You just need to just leave well alone, Eli. Just leave well alone. That's all I'm saying. Like I said before, on my channel, I am not a coach, I'm not a guru, but my advice is always backed up with facts and is always backed up with research, and whatever I say can be listened to or not. I've said this time and time again on all my live streams. You can choose to listen to the advice or you can choose to not, Eli. And at the end of the day, you're going to do what you're going to do, and I'm still going to be here doing videos on it, highlighting your mistakes, the same as you feel the need to highlight everybody else's for your content. So if you make a mistake, Eli, believe me, I will be there to watch it, and I will be there to tell people and to inform them, as you call it, on a need to know situation that has arisen. So take that as you will, Eli. Take it as you will. But if you want to see more from me, please subscribe to my channel. If you're new here today and you like my content and it has resonated with you, then please feel free to comment, share. Please, for whatever reason, don't reach out to Coach Eli for advice. Don't watch his channel. Let me watch his channel so that you do not have to listen to his dribble and take his bad advice. Because only one of us should have to suffer watching that kind of bad content. So hopefully everything I've said today has resonated with you in some way, and that you feel that the content is interesting, and especially Gordo and J-Rom and Riley and Gemma, who watch my channel quite a lot and will back me up on my advice no matter what, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it's been one of those mornings. I really wasn't gonna go live, and then I decided to. So, you know, if you want to see more, you can give me a big thumbs up, you can like, subscribe, and I will see you all for another video very, very soon. And remember, Eli, eat a dick. Goodbye. Bye.